Hi everybody, my name is Martin Telfer. I'm the International Chief with Fulcrum GT. Very excited to be here in Washington, D.C. today at Bloomberg Law as we explore the world of information governance and the increasing regulatory frameworks we have to abide by in order to manage this topic. We live in a big world, ladies and gentlemen, big law, big business, big data, big opportunity, and with that comes big responsibilities for managing your information. And today this panel is going to explore those topics. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
We're going to focus now on how legal industry leaders are applying new approaches and leveraging new tools across industries to successfully execute on their information governance programs. So I'd like to welcome Martin Telfer, Senior Vice President and EMEA Chief at Fulcrum GT, one of our sponsors. Evan Slavitt, Senior Vice President, General Counsel and Corporate Secretary at AVX Corporation. Wendy Knox-Everett, Senior Technology Officer at Leviathan Securities. Tom Doughty, Vice President and Chief Information Security Officer at Prudential, moderated by Chris Calabrese, Vice President, Policy Center for Democracy and Technology.
We're going to talk a little bit today about, obviously, you've heard the title of the panel. We're going to talk a little bit about the complexity that comes with compliance. We're going to talk a little bit tactical about what things, the challenges you see, what you might want to do, trends that we've seen grow over the last decade. But in general, do you think that there's maybe more challenges than there are solutions in this space, or is there a lot of unmet kind of need?
So let me step back a couple of years and put my battered and well-worn law firm CIO hat on. I was the CIO of Baker McKenzie for many years. And just looking how law firms have come through these sets of challenges, law firms, I think, are driven by three main issues. One is regulatory, which for them splits into two neat ones, that their employee obligations, and then of course client confidentiality. And there's for law firms, there's a level above most corporates, the bar associations in the various jurisdictions around the world. Baker operated in 50 countries, so that was a lot of fun. The second thing that drives them are internal initiatives. The last one I worked on was the consolidation of 32 instances of their time and billing system scattered across the world, across those 50 countries, into a single instance. And then, of course, the third thing, and probably the most important thing that drives law firm activity, is their clients. And if you, 5-6 years ago maybe, if you talk to a law firm chief information security officer, you wouldn't have got an answer because there wouldn't have been one. But now, that person and a significant sized team is busy dealing with client audits. It is a complete nightmare for law firms. It started out easy. You could just say, oh, well, we're 27001 compliant. Or we're looking at it. That'll do.
Right.
Now, you can say that you're compliant, and that worked for a while. And now, well, when was your last audit? And which systems are covered by this compliance certificate? And those things really are driving a lot of law firm activity and cost, which presumably will come on.
Right. Martin, I'm a lawyer, so I know that lawyers often are deeply knowledgeable about cybersecurity issues, and except for this room, they typically say something, well, I just want it to be secure, right? I just want the information to be kept securely, right? You can do that. And, obviously there's a little more to it than that. As you're talking to sort of maybe a less perfectly knowledgeable audience about cybersecurity risk and cost and what they should invest in, is there a way that you try to translate some of those things? Are there concepts that you try to embed to a partner who's got to pay the cost of this but maybe doesn't entirely understand why they have to do that? Or are there tricks that you've come up with over the years to think through those issues?
Yeah, so there's a set of discussions you have to have. Law firms are interesting beasts, as I'm sure many of you know. They'll tell you, for instance, that they're a people business and their assets walk out of the building at 10 o'clock every night. And
lucky people.
Yet, hardly any of them have a half-decent human capital management system. So how can you be a people business and not manage that? So there's all sorts of conflicts and inconsistencies going on in the firms. And then they're also very black and white. So risk management, note the word management, is not risk elimination. The lawyers tend to think it's all got to go, we have to be black and white perfect. I share with you my takeaway from years in change management. Change management is not about making people happy, it's about managing their anger. Risk management is not about eliminating risk. It's about managing them and making an informed commercial decision about where you're going to draw the line. It's just what you were saying, Evan.
So putting your fortune teller hat on and getting your crystal ball out. And I always love this when people ask me to do this because you can never really be wrong, right? I can say anything. And just kind of starting to think about, like, what do you think either you're going to see in the future, some challenges over the next couple of years, places you think the technology or the regulatory space is going to take you? Like, what jumps out as we try to think about the future and help the audience think about the future?
I'm hopeful longer term that all these requirements, and there's two ways to fix this. One is police it in the system, and the other is train the end users. We should be doing both. But if the inexorable migration to the cloud continues, I'm hopeful that you'll be able to sign in and use a system that has all that compliance and regulatory framework built in. It's done centrally, it's done in an organized way. God help us if they get breached, but let's not think about that. And you can consume that system and that data in a structured and controlled way that maybe removes 80-90% of your obligations, and then your training should do the rest.
If there was one thing that you thought, gosh, it would be great if these people could leave, either a future trend, a tip, just a kind of parting thought. We just have a few seconds, so I'll just run down the line real quick. Tom, I put you on the spot.
Kind of where I started, articulate your position as opposed to saying a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We have to choose among best fits among less than discrete options sometimes.
Great. Wendy?
I'm going to add what's been said before and say be pragmatic. If you're too strict, that's how you get shadow IT, and that's how things get worse.
Great.
Don't feel bad that you don't understand this stuff and that it feels insurmountable. You don't, and it is, but our only job is to do the best we can.
Martin.
So good to be sitting next to an optimist. Compliance starts with people. Train your people and don't focus too much on the systems.
Please join me in thanking our panelists for a wonderful panel. Thank you very much.